Okay, let's talk about the Kansas City Chiefs coaching here, as there's been some criticism, which kind of always happens when a team loses the Super Bowl, is people blame the coach. Is that fair in this scenario, or was this just never going to happen? Well, we can get into it, because I think there are some interesting things here. First things first, you see the play on the screen. It's just a simple screen pass, so what's even the point of bringing it up, really? Well, watch what happens. Mahomes takes the snap on this play. He's going to flip this ball quickly, and really they don't get much of anything, maybe a yard or two, and that's it. This is the first time all season that these plays just weren't working for the Kansas City Chiefs. They were consistently getting 7-8 yards on these types of plays, these underneath, quick passes, all season, legitimately all season. One thing that the Eagles did such a good job of was being aware of these types of plays, reading them quickly, and getting in position to make a tackle. You got to credit coaching, but you also got to credit the players. Like this one's another one where it's going to be a little bit different how this one works, but it's going to be actually, you see Kelsey and Josh Sweat are one-on-one against each other, but Kelsey's running a screen pass where he's going to let Sweat go by him and then look to try and get open. The issue is when this play begins, the Chiefs had an offensive lineman trying to get over to block Josh Sweat. He was just a little slow in getting over there, and it's really the timing got disrupted. And I think probably what happened was the Eagles, when they were in the film room, said, "Hey, on these plays, maybe just quickly get to Mahomes, blow this play up." That's essentially what Sweat has done, and now they can't try and throw this screen. Mahomes instead tries to get around Sweat, but that doesn't go too well and ends up getting sacked instead, so that's definitely not what they wanted. But this is just a great example of what was going wrong for the Chiefs, is these types of schemed up plays weren't really working, and usually this is what the Chiefs rely on, because once you don't have this, well, what else do you have? They haven't been a great downfield passing team all season long, so they needed these types of plays to work, but the Eagles were just ready this time. Like this one's another one where it's going to be in the running game, actually. What's going to happen is you have Juju Smith-Schuster, who's going to go in motion from the offense's right to the offense's left, but then they're going to fake as though they're handing the ball off to him. As you see, Mahomes does that, fakes it, actually gives it to the running back, who gets completely stood up. One thing the Eagles also did such a good job of was they just didn't get fooled and didn't let themselves get out of position on these types of plays. Reid is so good at getting guys out of position, and the Eagles were just so disciplined that this didn't happen. And to me, essentially what the issue was is the Chiefs just didn't have other ways to win. Their only real way to win was rely on getting guys out of position. They had successfully done it all year, but here in the biggest of spots, when they couldn't get it done, they had no other way to win. We can talk about the running game for a bit. I mean, they didn't run the ball much. I saw some people saying, should they have ran the ball more, which I kind of understand, but at the same time, it just wasn't working. This is a 2nd down and 12 because the first running play lost 2 yards. And as you see on this one, this also does not go for too much. They get a couple more, but it's now 3rd down and long, and now you have to try and make something happen, right? So I get it. I understand the argument of anytime you have a game that's this lopsided and the pass to run plays are that lopsided, you think maybe could have balanced it out more. But again, this is kind of where sometimes I get frustrated with the coaching versus, players side of things. Because, okay, maybe, but when no one's getting open and the running game isn't working, what else are you supposed to do, right? I think that's kind of why I sometimes am less harsh on coaches. Now, there are some, decisions, I think debatable things we can talk about. So, for one thing, what is the play we're going to talk about on this one? It's a zone coverage concept, cover 3 zone that the Eagles are in. This is a 3rd down and 9, and there's actually multiple things to talk about. For one, so we all remember the Tampa Bay Super Bowl, right? When the Chiefs had multiple missing offensive linemen, both tackles were injured, and kind of the knock on the Chiefs coming out of that game and the knock on Andy Reid coming out of that game is they didn't really help out the tackles at all. There wasn't a lot of chips, wasn't a lot of double teams. It was kind of just the 5 guys blocking. I'll compare that with last year's Super Bowl against San Francisco. Early on, they tried the same thing. The pass rush was kind of getting to Mahomes too quickly, and so the Chiefs made an adjustment. They had guys chip Nick Bosa a lot, and that allowed Mahomes to be able to operate, and ultimately they had to come back and won the game. So that's what the Chiefs are going to do here. They were helping out their their offensive line. Unfortunately, there were times when they were helping out their offensive line and it was still failing. They still weren't able to hold up. So that didn't help when you're double teaming guys and they're still getting home. But also something like this, which is they kind of took Travis Kelce out of the game on a lot of plays where you see what he's doing on this play. Going to block and then try and run a route. Well, that's what they do. Kelce blocks, and now he's getting ready to run his route. He's really just getting ready to start his route, and the play's over. I mean, Mahomes is now going to try and get outside the pocket because he's under pressure. Like, unless Mahomes can make something happen and really extend the play, it's over. So for Kelce, he did all this, but ultimately has taken himself out of the play, and he's still probably their best receiving option, even if he's not having a great game and maybe not prime Travis Kelce, right? Mahomes tries to make something happen. Ultimately, there's a sack. The Eagles did a very good job at containing Patrick Mahomes in this game. So, yeah, all of that stuff I think is worth mentioning. Now, one other thing, so I actually made a whole video talking about this, so I'll touch on it here as well. You see the left guard, Mike Caliendo. So the Chiefs offensive line, essentially what happened this season is they drafted a offensive lineman, Kingsley Sumatea, at left tackle. He was supposed to be their starter this year. They drafted him in the second round, and quite frankly, he just played horrible this year. So they ended up saying, okay, well, let's maybe put in Wanya Morris. He's the guy who was supposed to be our backup. We'll have him start. He didn't play very well, so they ultimately made a shift with putting their left guard, Joe Thuney, out at left tackle, and then putting their backup guard in there, who was Mike Caliendo, who now is a starter. On this play, Caliendo's going to get beat pretty badly. You see that there's actually a strip sack. Part of me wonders, and I think that what they probably should have done in hindsight was made a move to put in DJ Humphries, who was a tackle they signed and got banged up, but then was healthy for this game. They probably should have put him back in at left tackle and put Thuney back at guard. I'm not saying I think Humphries would have done that much better than Caliendo, but at the very least, you now have 3 good offensive linemen because Thuney was also struggling at tackle. This gives you 3 offensive linemen, and you can try and help the other 2. Again, I don't know if it would have made a difference, but maybe could have moved the needle a little bit, right? So ultimately, do I blame Andy Reid for this loss? No, I don't. I don't blame him because the offensive line couldn't block, guys couldn't get open, and Mahomes threw directly to the other team multiple times. Like, what are you going to do as a head coach? There's only so much you can do. At the end of the day, players are what matter more than coaching. As the Bill Belichick quote goes, coach can lose a game for a team, but they can't win a game for a team. The players have to make the plays, and they just weren't able to make the plays here. So while I get it, and I'm not saying you can't blame Reid in certain aspects of this game, I think that, again, nobody played well, right? Nobody coached well, nobody played well, given the way this game went. But, I think Reid, for the most part, I don't know what he was supposed to do here. That's kind of my stance on all of this. But, yeah, that's what I think. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. Always love hearing from y'all. And, of course, as always, thanks for watching.